Hey, computer, come on, seriously. Oh, we're recording. Hi.
Welcome to the Serenity Podcast. My name is Beth, and I'm Witty Knitting on Ravelry and Instagram.
And I'm Tracy. I'm PhoenixFire_knits on Instagram and PhoenixFire on Ravelry, if you can still access it, which I'm struggling with.
Recording.
And we're recording. My computer's been really slow this morning, so I was pretty sure it was not recording, and there it was. There it was recording. So hopefully the editor will take care of that, and you won't even know what we're talking about. But Dorline knows what he's going to do. Every week he says, "You want to see what I did?" And it's like, no, I don't want to watch that. It's like that short lady on that podcast gets on my nerves. I don't want to watch that. Oh, so yeah. Welcome. What have you been up to, Beth?
Oh, just the usual. The usual plus a fun knitting yarn store excursion yesterday.
Oh, yay.
So that was exciting.
I'm going to go to a yarn store someday.
Oh, it was like, I was just like soaking it in.
I can't remember if I said this on the podcast or if I said it just to you, but I literally had a dream that my knit group went to a yarn store without me. And then for some reason they were jerks and they FaceTimed me from the yarn store to ask a question. And I was like, guys, I'm fully vaccinated. I could go to the yarn store with you. I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it. And I was so sad. I was so very sad. And the next morning I got up and on my memories, I always get like a random picture that shows up on my iPhone every morning. It was the last time we had gone to a yarn store together. All of us, like the big group picture of all of us at this yarn store. This is creepy. This is really, that was from 2 years before. It was so creepy.
Actually, the reason that so it was my friend Brenna and Brenna's like my BFF. And I taught her to knit a few years ago now, and she really just learned to humor me because, I'm so like, oh, knitting is the best. And she's like, oh, okay. And she humored me and learned to knit, and now she's one of us.
Yeah, is she the one you're knitting the shawl with that you showed on the pilot? Okay.
Yep. So we're both finally fully vaccinated, so now we can like get together and do things. So I went to her house for the first time. I can't even remember. It was more than a year because I have little kids too. So it's like, it's a big deal for just me to go do nothing. So
I remember.
Went to her house, and the yarn store is like, and her house is an hour from my house, and the yarn store was an hour from her house. So we like got coffee and went to this yarn store called Boyland in Champlin, Minnesota, which I had never even heard of before. And like the people were so nice. It was a good yarn store experience. Like they were so nice. And they had lots of pretty stuff. And then we were there for a long time, just like taking it all in, and bought some stuff. And then she's like, oh, and you should see our classroom before you go and come check out the back. And we go, and there's like a hallway and there's this little classroom. Oh yeah, that's nice. And then there's something else. And then we walk into this big open room with tables all over and a fireplace. And there's like this, it looked like a little kitchen-y thing off of it. And I was like, why would anybody ever leave this place? I want to live here.
Man, we took for granted just going to a yarn store, just hanging out for an hour, just sitting on a couch and knitting. Soon.
And everybody had masks on. Actually, everywhere we went to 2 different coffee shops, and everyone had masks on everywhere we went, which was it made me happy because it is not like that everywhere.
It's true. It's very true.
You want to see what I got there?
What'd you get there?
Yarn store. Okay. So I was very, like the number of things I picked up and put back was a very high number. I'm like, okay, if you don't have a plan for it, do you really need to add it to your giant room of yarn?
It's a tough question.
No single skeins of sock yarn. Like that's all, because I'm like, well, just one. What's up with these things? No. So what I decided to purchase.
Talk really loud so they can hear you over Michael unloading their groceries.
So what I got. So they have their own exclusive yarn line.
I just got an obscene gesture.
Michael.
They have their own yarn line.
They have their own exclusive yarn line. So I got a skein of, this is the calico color, and this is cracked earth. I don't know if it's really showing up. This is like a brown, but it's almost like there's like a purple tone to it.
That's how I'm seeing it.
Okay, good. So yeah, I'm gonna do a color work, some DK color work socks with this.
Oh, nice.
And it's actually a Larkspur Designs pattern that I've already seen, and I'm like, oh, that'll work. And then they had all the Addy Rocket Squared.
Oh, I want to try those.
Those that have the, like, what do you even call this? Texture, kind of?
The grooves. They're on my Amazon wish list. I haven't seen them at a yarn store yet.
I just wanted to try them. I'm just curious. And then I also got, oh, it's not in here. I'm already using them. I got a set of Chowgu red lace needles because I was using my Addy Rockets and they're so slick, and that's what I've always liked about them. But now that I'm at the point where I'm knitting back and forth on this and I have to purl, excuse me, purl a lot, that's what's really been upsetting my wrist. So I was like, okay, I need knitting needles that are gonna like do some of the work for me here with like holding on to everything. So I told them at the yarn store like that I was looking for something with more drag, like more grip, and I was hoping for wooden needles and they didn't have any. But she's like, use these. And I've never actually used Chowgus in anything but sock size needles, so they are helping a lot.
Michael's very gently putting down the groceries. It's still really loud. No, we can't help it. I'm sorry.
I can't. He's doing great.
You're doing great, Michael. Beth says you're doing great. Wow, that look. The 20 years of marriage look.
I've only got 10.
Well, you'll see this look soon. I do feel bad. I mean, he didn't know we were going to be recording when he went to get the groceries. Now he's back like, be quiet with his bag.
Life. There is nobody watching this podcast who doesn't know that we are real life people who might have groceries unloaded while we're it's no big deal.
Yeah, well, there's no teens bothering us today because one's at driver's ed and the other is sleeping. So there's that at least. I can't believe my baby's in driver's ed. That's ridiculous. On a Sunday.
Yeah, that's silly.
Doesn't make any sense. He was there from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. yesterday. Came home, ate 3 slices of pizza, and went to bed. And I had to wake him up. And we had to wake him up at like 7 or 8. Like, dude, you're not going to be able to sleep all night. He eventually did get up.
Okay.
And then he went back to, I don't know when he went back to sleep because I can't keep up. My house is overrun by teens and they're just up at all hours. I don't know what they're doing. Thanks, pandemic.
Lulu was crying. Lulu's my 3-year-old, and she was crying in the night last night. So I went in to see what was going on, and she was like, I don't know, she must have been dreaming or something. She was asleep, and I just kind of tucked her back in, and she had this entire plastic tub of Magnetiles on her bed. And I'm like, oh, wonder how long you played with those before you went to bed tonight. Oh.
She's adorable. We were Zooming the other night, all of us together, and Lulu wanted to have a hissy fit, and so she came in the room and then saw that we were all looking at her, and then gave us the stink eye, like, how dare you watch my hissy fit? She just silently stared at us in anger until she went to bed. It was the cutest thing.
She has the best look. I'm going to find a picture and show it to you. And I know we're like way off topic, but that's real life too. She has a look. It is known far and wide.
That was the look.
And that's the look.
That's the look. Ladies, I'm really trying hard to have a crying fit here to my mom, and I don't need this audience. Thank you.
Oh.
Don't need you smiling at me and waving while I'm trying to be mad.
So funny.
That was adorable.
Such a stubborn little thing. I love her. Okay, what have you been up to?
Went back to work last week. Last week was a really bad week. It was a really, really bad week. So we don't think I've been back on the podcast to talk about our dog of 8 years had what we thought was a torn ligament, which we thought this doesn't sound right because he doesn't exercise enough to tear a ligament, but we went with it, and he was getting worse instead of better, so we waited for the surgery. So they x-rayed him again, and it was actually a cancerous tumor that had caused the ligament to tear. So they checked his lungs and said that it didn't look like the cancer had spread. His lungs were still clear. And if we remove the entire leg, we should be able to save him. So we did, remove the entire leg. He seemed to be healing pretty well from that, but then he started having other troubles. So we took him back to the vet last week, and the cancer had spread to his bladder.
Oh,
she didn't check his bladder because 90% of the time the cancer goes straight from whatever is the starting point to the lungs. So we had to put him, we had to say goodbye on Friday. It was devastating. And I'd always said he was not my dog. I always said he was my husband's dog, the kids' dog. They went and got him without my permission. We'd had another family dog that had passed, and I wasn't ready for another. And then they went and got this puppy 8 years ago. And so I was determined I wasn't going to get attached. And I had done a pretty good job of not getting too attached, but he was my constant companion during the pandemic and remote teaching. And he was the only person in my classroom for a good 6 months, and he stayed by my feet while I was teaching and snored. He thought I was a really boring teacher. And my students thought he was hilarious. And so my first semester students really bonded with him. So I'm thinking I have to tell my class on Monday to tell their friends from first semester so that they'll know, because they would ask questions about him all the time. So yeah, we're heartbroken, but
I'm sorry.
He's now feeling better, I guess, and is happy.
Well, I saw that Michael posted something, and I was like, what does this mean?
I wasn't ready to talk about it, so I didn't post anything. But that's what that meant. He was sicker than we thought. So now he's on the family farm with our other dog. If you watched the mistletoe episode, that's where Toby is now.
For the record, Toby would be happy I was putting away groceries.
Toby would be happy he was putting away groceries because he would hope you drop something. It's true. We do miss him though. I'm getting used to having to, like, when we spill food in the kitchen, we have to sweep it up instead of just calling the dog or waiting for him to find it. It's gonna be. It's gonna take a while to get used to not having him at our feet. So it's been a terrible week. It'll ease with time, I know, but still, it's been a really terrible week. Maybe I need to go to a yarn store and come out of myself. And that's the first time I've talked about it. I think I texted 2 people about it because I needed to not do things. I needed to explain why, but I don't think I've talked about it yet. It's been really sad.
That is sad.
Holt's already talking about, he's like testing the waters of, so what if we got another dog? Definitely not this time.
Wait a week, man.
Yeah, everybody deals with grief differently. Rena's pretty much decided we're not going to get another animal until she moves to college, but I'm not even entertaining the idea. Not even looking to entertain the idea. But I got a lot of knitting done while I was on spring break the week before. And I finished my Weekender. Oh my gosh, the ring light's blowing it out. Here,
I wondered if you.
with it.
It looks really pretty.
I haven't tried it on yet because it's been super hot. This is the coolest it's been in 2 weeks, and it's, what is it, Michael? 64?
Yeah.
That's 64. It's gonna get to 79 today, but that's better than this is better than 90, which it has been twice. But yeah, there's my weekender. I'm planning outfits I can wear it with in June. So excited. Oh, you don't think Minnesota's gonna lock down again, do you? Are we still on for June?
I don't know. I hope so.
I hope so
I
too.
hope we're still on, I mean. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the statewide, I haven't really been keeping up with the statewide. I've been just more paying attention to like my local area with schools going back hybrid and stuff like that.
It's really scary. We've been seeing a huge decline for weeks and weeks and weeks, and all of a sudden we open back up and it's inching back in the wrong direction again. So keep wearing your mask, people, because I'm ready to travel. I'm ready. I am ready for ZK. I'm ready to see people. I'm ready to hug people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with all of the ZK t-shirts we have this year, I feel like there should have been one that said fully vaccinated and ready to hug. So I don't want to make people uncomfortable who are not, but I am definitely there. But since that t-shirt was not an option, I got the one with the squirrel on it, and I'm really excited. It's the first ZK t-shirt I ever bought.
Well, it's about time.
It is about time. I do have 2 ZK shirts that someone gave me because they didn't fit, but I don't. It's the first time I've ordered a shirt.
I ordered the rainbow tie-dye shirt.
There are a lot of options this year.
Yeah.
Yet not one that says vaccinated and ready to hug. Oh, I'm hoping I can pack some sweaters because it's been so hot here. Sometimes in Minnesota, you just never know. Some years at ZK, it's nice and in the 60s and 70s and 80s for a high 1 or 2 days, and sometimes in the 90s. You might as well be in North Carolina. It's going to be in the 90s.
Well, it always rains.
It does always rain.
It's like a guarantee, it seems. There's that one day you thought it was winter.
Yeah, that was nice. But what's funny is, by the time it gets to be summer, I've already forgotten what like spring feels like. So when it gets to be like 55 degrees, I'm like, oh my God, feel this, it's so cold. Feel this. I'm gonna put on a sweatshirt. But you know, 2 weeks ago, I would not have put on a sweatshirt for 55 degrees. In the summer, I would. We were talking about that last night. It was on our mountains vacation a couple of years ago. It was 50 degrees when I got up. And I woke the whole family up so they could enjoy 50 degrees. Like, come on outside, it's 50 degrees. See what this feels like. Grab a sweatshirt. And then, you know, by 9 or 10 o'clock, it was up in the 70s and 80s, which is still nice for us in the summer. But they're like, don't wake us up this year if it's 50 degrees, Mom. I'm like, I'll just enjoy it by myself.
Just open their windows where they're sleeping.
Exactly. I think I'll just leave them alone. I think from now on, I'm just going to let them sit there. It's but 2 years ago, being on vacation, I wanted to see them as much as possible because we didn't see each other very much. There's always, Rena was running off to drama or whatever after school thing she was doing, whatever club and event. Holt had whatever sport he was doing. And so we just really didn't get to spend a lot of time in each other's company. But now we've had over a year in each other's company, and I'm okay to let them sleep a while. I'm okay. I have really enjoyed the time I've had with my kids during the pandemic.
I mean, that makes sense. You're not the first person I've heard.
Yeah, I feel like it's been stolen time because it's definitely time I would not have spent with teenagers if they hadn't been forced to stay in the house. They're ready to get out again. We're getting there. 17-year-old, sorry, Rena, 17-year-old has had her first dose. She gets her second one in 2 weeks, and fingers crossed that the 14-year-old will get his soon and life will begin to get a little more normal for them. But they have done very little for the past year socially. So I feel really bad about it.
They're still in distance learning, right? Like you opted for that.
Yeah, they're going to stay in distance learning the rest of the year. Yeah, we have a lot of kids who are excited to come back to school, but then they get to school and it's not the same. It's just, everybody's so spread out and everybody's on silent lunch. So we all feel like we're being punished during lunch, even though we're not. We're just trying to stay safe. It's not the same. Hopefully next year will be better if we can get through the summer safely.
Aspen starts kindergarten next year.
That is so hard to believe.
I know.
She's gonna love it.
Oh, she's like counting down the minutes to kindergarten. She's so excited. She's a very social, very school-loving little lady. So I can show my weekender.
Yay.
I mean, now that I'm in the middle of a row, but it's just pretty much a big blob at this point anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't look like much until you get the sleeves, or you get the shoulders joined for the sleeves.
Yeah. So I am done working in the round.
So pretty. Love that color.
Me too. So this is the Primrose Park colorway in the BFL 150 from Lavender Loon, and this is Andrea Mowry's Weekender Light sweater pattern. So it's the fingering weight version. So it has this, like, I don't know what that's called.
Slip stitches?
Slip stitches. There you go.
Yeah.
And I had this delusion that I might be done by this podcast. I don't know why
You needed a spring break too.
Yeah. And we had kind of a tiny little spring break, but and I am knitting it on size 2 needles, so
My whole family's concerned about size 2 needles. They dropped what they were doing. Size 2.
I know. It's ridiculous.
I use size 4. Drop everything. I don't even know what that was. I think it might have been the cat. I don't know what that was at all. But we're gonna look so cute wearing these. Yours is BFL too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're gonna look so cute in our BFL weekenders this summer. Because I've already got my plane ticket, so I'm coming to Minnesota.
One way or another.
We might be having our own private retreat. No, people who are going to ZK, we're just talking. We have no information on anything except for that is on.
Don't worry.
But we are definitely doing it. I am ready. All I have to do is get my shuttle to the airport at the crack of dawn Sunday morning. Actually, before the crack, I feel like it's gonna be dark when I leave on Sunday. I'm so disappointed. We'll talk about that later. That doesn't need to be on the podcast, but I'm very disappointed in my flight home. So the only other thing I've got 2 things I'm working on because I finished my twinning project and decided that I was going to try to do the next challenge, the Enable Me challenge, because I've had this Jojo Locatelli pattern in my queue for 2 years and it was time to get it started. And even if I don't finish it in April, that's okay. So the pattern is Old Romance, and I don't even know, I can't show this. It's just a mess. There's no way of showing this. It's just a blob. I'm not even sure exactly what I'm doing. It's like origami. You knit 2 lace panels, which will be on the sleeves, and then you pick up stitches and join them in the middle for the neck.
It's that one.
And I have no idea what's next. I'm still doing short rows for the sleeves or the shoulders and the neck. And then I'm sure I'll make a mistake somewhere. Every time I do a Jojo pattern, except for, well, no, all of them, even the boxy the first time. I make some kind of crazy mistakes. I misread the pattern and have to rip out stuff. But hopefully that won't happen this time. But it really is looking like origami. And I'm hoping that it turns out, because, I like like doing the top-down raglans where you try them on as you go and see if you're doing it right. And this is one of those crazy side-to-side picking up stitches things. I'm hoping it turns out because so far I really love it. It's so pretty. It's the last of my UK yarn. This is Eden Cottage that I got at Loop London. I feel like I'm blowing everything out today.
It's time for another trip.
Yes, we're talking about it. I don't think I'm ready yet, but we're talking about it. And this silvery gray is from Edinburgh. It's from Ginger Twist Studio. Her card is the cutest. Isn't that adorable? And that was a fun story. So we were in Edinburgh and we had toured the castle and done all the things. And I said, I want to go to the yarn shop. And so we started walking toward the yarn shop and it started to sleet. And that was not fun. So we called an Uber and Ubered to the yarn shop. And she was closed, but only like to go run an errand. Her shop is probably the size of my yarn palace. It is teeny tiny. And we met some weird man outside the yarn shop who told us that he wanted to go to the United States, to go to North Carolina, because there's a Highland Games festival we have every summer in the Great Smoky Mountains, where they actually play the Highland Games in North Carolina because we have a huge Scottish population up there. I don't know if you know that. My family is Scots-Irish, but anyway, long story. He told us how he actually planned to go and got to the airport but didn't have a passport. And we're like, wow, what is happening? And then finally they came to open up the shop and she apologized and said that he intimidates a lot of her customers. We were fine. It was really weird. So yeah, I was shopping with Michael and I got 3 skeins of that, I think. 3 skeins of the silver color. It's her hand-dyed yarn. And then got home and realized I should have gotten 4. But you know, when you're shopping with, I don't know if this is true for everybody, but when I'm shopping with my husband, I feel like I have to hurry, even though he would never think I was actually hurrying, as it does take that long. I feel like I have to hurry. So I just got what I thought I needed and left. And that shop was so tiny and claustrophobic. And anyway, got home, realized I need another skein. Went on the website, went to order it. The shipping cost as much as the skein. Can you believe that? It was literally the same price as the one skein. So it's going to double on price. So I was like, maybe I'll find a different pattern for this yarn. And then went on Instagram, and my friend Kim was in Edinburgh. What are the odds? What are the odds of that? So I'm on Instagram. I was like, hey, Kim, I see you're in Edinburgh. I was just there last week. If you end up at Ginger Twist Studio, will you pick me up a skein of this? And she did, and sent it to me from South Carolina instead of Scotland for like $4 shipping. It was so much better.
You have the best stories.
Isn't that crazy though? What are the odds? What are the actual odds that somebody I know in real life would be in the same place across the world the next week? So yeah, that's the last of my UK yarn. And it will be time to travel again as soon as it's done. Rena's awake.
Morning, Rena.
Morning. She looks lost, but she lives here.
I really want to visit your house.
I really want you to visit my house.
I want to meet your family in person.
We'll do that one year. We're planning a minor retreat. Very exclusive. Just get them down to North Carolina. We're gonna do the whole state in a week because we're gonna start in Raleigh where you fly in. We're going to drive to Black Mountain so you can see that yarn shop because, oh my goodness, it is amazing. Yeah. And then we'll head to the beach and have a retreat at the coast. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Fresh seafood. All my college friends, because I went to college at the coast and they're still there.
They never left.
It's difficult. It's really difficult to leave. I got lured back. It was for the best, but it was hard at the time. Rena's doing a much better job of not making noise. She's tiptoeing and putting her water bottle down. Anyway.
Do you have more
That's my-
stuff? I do.
And then I finished one sock, the Knitpocalyptic Gryphon sock. It's my goodie bag yarn from last year's CK at home. It matches my sweater.
Yeah, it does.
We need to talk about our sweater soon.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I just barely started the toe of the second one. So this is going to be my sitting around working at school, but mostly on Zoom calls sock for next week. So I'll get a lot done. School's weird this year. It's really weird this year.
Mhm.
Let me tell you this, man. I got decent at remote learning. I know a lot of people hate it. It was not the best. I feel like that's my slogan for 2021. It's not ideal, but we're doing what we can do. Got pretty good at it. And then we went back on hybrid. I am so bad at hybrid. I can't focus on the kids in the classroom and the kids at home at the same time and feel like I'm doing a decent job. But doing this paired up, we're learning about satire, talking about sarcasm. It was really fun. Kid came in late, clicked to let him out of the waiting room, go on to the next slide. I'm like, hey, why isn't anybody answering the question on the slide? What are you doing? And finally, like 4 minutes later, this kid says, the screen's frozen. I can't see the next slide. And I'm like, oh, do you need to refresh? And then finally a kid in the classroom says, you hit screen share pause. That's why it's frozen. I did what now? When I went to hit admit student, I hit the button like this little bit below it to pause the screen share. So that kid had been in the waiting room for four full minutes, and the class had done nothing for 4 full minutes, and no one thought to tell me that's why I had done. As soon as I get good at hybrid teaching, that's when the pandemic will be over.
Well, it's impossible to, yep.
As soon as I get good at something, we move to something else. And
I've been lucky that we've done distance or in person for the little kids. Like I haven't had to mess with half here, half there, whatever. But you're doing 2 jobs for the price of 1.
Yeah, it's something. It's not fun. And it's only like in my first classes, I have between 1 and 5 kids in the classroom at any given point. And then my last class is 12. And then there's 18 more at home. I mean, it's been very, very stressful. Very, very stressful. And my A week second period, 1 kid. It's so awkward. At least he's a really good kid. He has a good sense of humor. But
I spent your anniversary with him.
Spent my anniversary with him. It's just the 2 of us in the classroom. It was bizarre. We have lunch together every day. It's just the 2 of us at lunch. It's bizarre. I feel terrible for him. As awkward as it is for me, it's got to be 10 times worse for him. But at least it's someone pleasant. It could be a lot worse. It's a very pleasant child. He sent me an email last week. He had revised an essay and he'd redone all of his revisions 2 days earlier than they were due. And I was like, you know what? This is why you are my absolute favorite student in a week in-person cohort. And he's like, thanks, Miss Wortman. It's tough competition. Oh, so that's my life, man. That's all I got going on. Hybrid teaching. Sick dog. Teenagers everywhere. Can't get away from them.
Well, I don't know about you, but for me, like this time of the year, this time of the school year, any year, I'm like starting to burn out.
Yeah.
Like it's like that's why there's summer. Like,
It's
starting
true.
to fall apart. Like
It's true. See, the whole idea of having a summer break is archaic, and we really should revamp the school year because it doesn't make sense. We don't have that many agricultural kids who need to help farm in the summer. We do have some. That's a different story. But we do have some, and it's not something we need to do, but it's something we're glad we still have.
let me tell you, teacher burnout would be worse.
It's true. Plus, they'd have to pay us for a whole year instead of 10 months.
Or
that
they
would
would
be different too.
put a bunch of extra breaks in and make it still the same number.
Yeah, that's what we've done with year-round schools, but
yeah.
Still, I feel like this is not the education podcast, but I do feel like there's got to be a better way. I feel like there's got to be a better way than what we've been doing for the past 200 years. That's my soapbox, but it's above my pay grade.
Yeah.
I just thought somebody would fix it. Like we're out of school for a year. Somebody's gonna change something. It's gonna be turned upside down on its head. We're gonna go back next year. It's gonna be something different, exciting, and more useful. No, we're going back the same way we left.
Pandemic, and they didn't even cancel state testing.
Yeah.
Really? Really? Okay. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole anymore. I have one more project to show after my big stretch.
Stretch. Be careful. When you get to be my age, you stretch and you throw your back out. I've done it. Actually, my sister's done it, and she's your age. So yeah, still be careful.
Oh, so I just have to Kitchener this toe.
Yay!
And then figure out how to knit an afterthought heel. So these are my Fishknits yarn After the Storm socks. And I love them.
I do too. We're gonna be sock twins.
Yes.
Watch the Kirby Werby tutorial if you need help with afterthought heels. It's really good.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. And then what else? Did I tell about the Bead Store, or did I tell you about that?
You just told about the yarn store. You haven't told them about the Bead Store.
So before my yarn store adventure, so this was the Thursday of our spring break, we have this bead store downtown in the little town by where I live. And I knew that they had some yarn, but I don't think I'd been in there for like 5 years, because I specifically remember we were in there because my mom went through a phase of like making a lot of jewelry and buying all the beads, and she was more of a craft material acquirer than an actual like making the things person.
Not that we're going to judge that based on what we're surrounded by.
Where do you think this bean came from?
Yeah, we get it honest.
But I remember pushing a stroller, and I remember that I only had one kid, so it had to have been Aspen. So it had
You could be a detective.
5 years. I know, I'm so good. So anyway, at that time they had just like a little bit of yarn, and I wasn't that interested in it. And then I had heard, I don't even know why I went there. Like I
needed a bead, obviously.
I don't know. No, I think I looked online and I'm like, oh, they have more yarn. Like they have all these different brands now. And I went and they have like this big wall of yarn and this other big wall of yarn. And I was just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. There's a yarn store in the town where I live outside of. So I got really excited and I bought some yarn that I super totally didn't need, but I just like, I kept going back to it and I kept touching it. And I was like, I'm going to support this small local business and buy some stuff. So I bought some Malabrigo sock yarn because look how pretty it is.
So pretty.
And this is the, I don't know, Piedras or something.
My children could tell you. They translated Jefe Rojo for us, which is where we like to eat in Rochester. It's the red guy, if you didn't know.
And then I got this skein ball, whatever, of a tweed yarn. I've never seen this before, but
either.
I wanted.
Oh, I like that color.
Thank you, me too. I wanted a tweed yarn to knit. Actually, there's a hat pattern and a sock pattern with like the same kind of color work thing going on. So I have yarn socks because I already had another yarn to pair this one with, and then that's my plan for that. And then I also, they had some Katrinkles things, so I got these little tags that say hand knit to put on like little hats or whatever.
I like those things.
Because I still haven't found my perfect sock knitting system, I picked up some Addy Flexi Flips
I think I would like those.
because I've never tried them.
I haven't either, but I've heard of them, and I think I would like them.
And I had never seen them in person either. And also, gonna be honest, they come in a tube, and I thought that was cool.
That is pretty cool. So you can put mini M&Ms in that when you're finished with your needles.
So they are the ones that have shorter tips and then just this tiny little cable. So you have like your sock on 2 of them, and then you're knitting with the third one. I don't really know.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen? Worst that can happen is I knit a sock the size of a baby hat.
And then we'll have a giveaway on the podcast. Who wants a baby hat and a set of flexi flips? Oh, excuse me.
So yeah, I was very happy to have discovered that. And they used to have like a Saturday morning knit at the store things. They have this big table, and right now it's all virtual, but they are hoping to one day start in person again.
That'll be nice.
Oh, and I reconnected with someone. So there used to be a yarn store in town, and this was the year I spent a lot of time there. The year I was subbing before I actually got hired as a teacher, because like mostly I wasn't subbing. So I like kind of sort of just like worked for free / hung out at this yarn store all the time. And so I ran into someone at the Bead yarn store who I had known, who was always at the other yarn store.
Fun.
And I moved since then. So we kind of live close to each other. It's like, oh my gosh.
Well, that's nice.
We reconnected.
Well, I got something new this week too. And I meant to post on Instagram, but then life got crazy. But I got some lamination.
Oh yeah!
Awesome. And sent me my laminated bookmarks that I have wanted for years. I printed these from somewhere. They've been sitting around. Didn't know what I was going to do with them because I didn't want to ruin them by putting them in a book and letting them get ruined. But luckily, I'm friends with an elementary school teacher who has a laminator at her house.
And
so there's Miss Marshall and Hercule Poirot.
Did you notice that I went full-on elementary teacher on those?
All lined up.
There was white space, and I trimmed them.
I actually left it on purpose because I couldn't trim it well. I only had scissors, and I figured that you would be able to do that. I trusted you to do that.
Did it with scissors.
Oh, I'm the worst with scissors. I tried this one year to do the interactive notebooks with my 9th graders, where you like cut the work and then they paste it into their notebook and do the work, and then they have like a table of contents. The kids weren't organized enough to do it. I couldn't cut well enough. It drove us all crazy. So it only lasted a year, but they would actually complain and say, Miss Bergman, get the student teacher to cut it because you can't cut it. And it's like, you just need to watch your mouth. But the best part of my lamination was the free artwork it came with. Look at that. That's exciting. That is impressive. Is that a self-portrait?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. Well, because
fabulous.
I wanted to send you something, but you had given me a self-addressed stamped envelope.
I did.
And so then I'm like, well, I can't like add a bunch of stuff to this. Well, I guess I could have.
Okay.
Anyway.
What cracked me up, because when Rena was this age, she drew everybody orange. That was what she thought skin tone was. She didn't care what race you were orange. And at the time, I thought that was like really progressive thinking. Now I've changed my thoughts on that. But anyway, I thought it was funny that she also chose orange as a skin color.
And they're smelly markers too.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it's
I'm not going to sniff your kid right now, but I'm going to try that later. I had a parent send me the full pack of the markers with the smells. Mr. Sketch, yeah. And it was my lifelong dream to have these as a student, and I'd never gotten any. And then this parent sent me the whole set, and I was like, kids, you can't use this because these are my markers. And I haven't used them either because I don't want to ruin them. But whenever we have advisory where the kids are kind of sitting around not doing anything, it's like a wasted 10 minutes in the day. The table that's getting on my nerves the most, I'll say, hey, here's a game. You smell the marker and try to guess what smell it is, and she'll tell you if you're right. No, doesn't matter. They're 18 years old. They're like, oh, cool. And they'll play the smell the marker game.
I buy a new set of those every school year.
I have reached stable with school supplies. It's depressing. I open my drawer and I see I haven't bought school supplies for myself in 3 years, and I still have more than I can ever use.
Start using that stuff up.
I use them. That's the thing. I've bought I think I went into teaching for the school supplies.
Everyone went into teaching for the school supplies.
I'm not sure I could ever use up the stuff I've already accumulated. I've even got to the point where well, not this year because we're not allowed to give students supplies. We can't have shared supplies. They have to have their own. But I have boxes of stuff that's not my best stuff. I'm like, okay, so kids, you can use these highlighters, and here's some pencils and pens if you need them, and still can't use them all up. It's insane. I think that's all of my stuff except for what we're wearing. You're wearing a really pretty sweater. Have we seen that before?
Yeah, I think
I have.
I was working on this when we first started, I feel like.
I remember that.
And yeah, this is my throwback.
So pretty.
No. Throwover?
Throwover. Throwback is the cardigan?
Yeah. So this is my throwover sweater, another Andrea Mowry pattern. My friend Brenda makes fun of me because she thinks that I she makes fun of me for a lot of reasons. But whenever she wants to knit something, she's still in that knitting stage where I help her find patterns and whatever to match the yarn, and I always end up finding an Andrea Mowry pattern.
Well, there are a lot in your defense. There are a lot.
So we call her my friend Andrea Mowry. So whenever I'm looking for patterns, here's another one by my friend Andrea Mowry. Anyway, this is designed by my friend Andrea Mowry. And it's using Malabrigo Rios in the Bobby Blue colorway, and then 3 colors of Spin Cycle in the Dream State base.
Gorgeous.
Thank y'all.
I don't know if I've shown this one or not. This one is Navelli. And I was in a place early in the pandemic where I was not going to buy anything because I didn't know what was going to happen with our finances and all that. And I just used up a skein up. So if you've been a knitter a long time, this is going to ring some bells for you. Cider Moon Icicle in the Johnny Cash colorway. It had been sitting around, I think, since maybe 2007. It was the oldest yarn in my stash. It goes back to, I think I was enabled to buy this from Lime and Violet. That's how I won the early podcast. So it's been sitting around for a really, really long time. And I didn't have quite enough to do a whole sweater in the one skein. It is short sleeved, and you can't see everything. The folded sleeve, and my very favorite spotted circus yarn, the antique gold. I've used this in 3 different projects. I still have a little bit left. And then the color work at the bottom is the good part, but you can't see it. And I don't think I can stand up because I've got myself pinned in here. I have to put the rocking chair up against the there we go. You can kind of see it, but it's all blown out.
No, it's pretty. We can see it.
Pretty colors. All right. So again, more antique gold, and then cat sandwich is the mint green colorway. And that was left over from another Caitlin Hunter sweater, the Sunset Highway. I still have a little of that left over. So I used a lot of scraps this past year. A lot of my scrap bin is getting very, very empty. It's nice. And there's room. I can see the bottom of my basket for my cozy memory blanket for the first time ever. Which is probably because I didn't knit my 24 minis from Christmas into it. That's probably why I got so much of that done. But anyway, I'm going to finish that up this year.
Do you think, would you ever want to do a challenge to just knit from stash, or a after ZK? No? Okay.
No, I mean, I like to do that, but at the same time, I feel like if I had to, I wouldn't want to do it.
Okay.
I think it'd be fun to see how much we could knit from our stash and how much of our scraps we could get rid of, but I'm not sure I could say I'm only going to do this for a while. I don't know.
So maybe we have like a from stash knit along.
That would be fun. See how much we can get from our stash.
Or
Kino Knits does a every year in May does a graduate your stash right at graduation time where you knit your oldest stash yarns out, and I always try to take part in that. Like cute graduate your stash.
oh boy.
Yep. We'll put some thought into this, see what we can come up with. But I like the idea of a knit something old from your stash, knit along. But I don't like the idea of challenging myself to only do it because then I'd be mad, especially with ZK coming up, and I'm going to be buying yarn for the first time since, wow, October of 2019. I mean, I've got a scan or two off the internet here and there, but mostly I like to knit. I like to buy yarn in person when I can see it.
That's true. It's a whole different experience. Having seen yarn in person recently, it's like,
yeah, I'm almost ready for that. Almost ready.
I just remembered one more thing I need to show.
What?
We got a prize donation. That's what I'm trying to say.
They're legit.
Yeah.
And there's Beth's butt again. You're
What's
welcome.
my butt for y'all?
You're welcome, internet.
So if you've been around the knitting podcasting realm for a while, you might remember the Yarn in My Coffee podcast.
Coffee in my yarn sounds terrible. But yarn in my coffee, that sounds realistic.
And Jess was the host of that, and she had Milky Robot yarn, which was really popular, and she got Tracy addicted to the Super Miniatures.
She did.
Progress Keepers, and so she's recently back into knitting. She was kind of like hadn't done it for a while, it sounds like. So she has Coffee with the Fool is her like Instagram name, and she makes some different things, and she sent us this cute little project bag. Isn't it so cute?
Love it. It's apples.
Little, yeah, and it has her
That
little
makes
label.
sense.
And it's polka dots on the inside. And it's a little drawstring. So this will be for our current knit along that we're having.
Oh, yay.
Copycat Cal. And I'm going to find some yarn in my stash that matches it. And then like maybe this one right here.
We have some good stuff for that, Cal. So now we got three prizes. And, you know, I always wondered when I watched podcasts how these podcasters could have these knit-alongs and then, like, not get their own projects done for it. And I've done exactly that with this knit-along. I had so many ideas of all these things I was going to copycat, but then I was doing the ZK knit-along, and I have not done a single one that I had planned.
The ZK knit-along stalls everything.
It's true.
For me.
It's true. So next year, we're going to do our knit-alongs to coincide with whatever is happening with ZK.
Or we just don't do our own knit-alongs during the ZK. I don't know, something.
So we could take 6 months off from it.
Then during the other months of the year, I don't knit my ZK yarn because I'm like, well, I have to save that for the
exactly.
Rules.
We're crazy. We're not the only ones though. So it's okay.
Know.
So that's one prize. I also have this one.
I want that prize.
What's your prize? Got cat sandwich yarn, which is a huge favorite. I like the idea of the copycat and cat sandwich. Also, I had never heard of this until Beth enabled me, and now I want all of the cat sandwich. And I've got a project bag from Twist Fiber Studio, and if you notice, there's all these little copycat Carol sweaters all over it.
It's very themed because it's from Tracy.
That's me.
Whereas mine really has nothing to do with anything other than I really like this stuff.
The colors go together perfectly with yours.
So I have a Shop Knitting Ellie bag, which she does not send in a great value plastic bag. That's just me, just to protect it from anything that might happen. And then a set of Stress Knits minis.
They're so pretty.
And the Plant Parent.
You look like you were doing something, so I was watching, and then you made this face like, now I don't know what you're doing.
I was looking at this bag thinking, what yarn do I have that would look good with this?
What do you not have that would look good with that?
Well, that's just the thing. I have a
That's
lot.
pretty much your colors there.
You have to narrow it
With the
down.
pinks and the. I think that might be about everything.
I think so. I mean, we talked pandemic, we talked teaching, a
All
little bit
things.
of yarn thrown in.
Vaccines. I think we covered everything. It was fun to spend time with everybody. And we hope to see you in 2 weeks. Get your copycat projects finished up. We've got, what, 2 more weeks left?
Even more than that,
Maybe
I
a
think.
little over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You have time. Post them to Instagram. We have a hashtag. It will be in the show notes. I think that's everything. By the way, your little vest and skirt cowl combo didn't make it into the show notes for the episode because I forgot. So you're gonna have to send me a list of what you're knitting so that I can make sure I get that in the show notes.
Thank you. Thank you for
But
doing
if you're
all this work.
interested in that adorable little vest and cowl, which kind of looked like a matching skirt, let us know and we'll put the information up for you. All right, we'll see you in about 2 weeks. Have a good one. Bye.